Everyone. Have you ever been in that situation where you meet somebody and you are immediately struck by their, what can I call it, radiance, I guess. But later, when you get to know them a little better, you realise that it's intelligence. And that was exactly how I felt when I met Katrena Friel. And we met at the studio launch last year. And since I got to know and become friends with Katrena, I actually realised she's pretty much a superstar. And I'm so delighted to be able to bring her to you today because she has some incredibly valuable insights to share. So, Katrena.
Oh, thank you so much. Can I write that down and you can come and launch me every time I do this? Is this here for a reason?
Oh, sorry, that was my...
Because I'm going to just trip over this the whole time. So, hi. Who wants more revenue streams? Anybody? Woo! Let's do that, hey? So I've been around for 25 years, so hands up who has slept with me in the 80s or the 90s? Anybody? No. Oh, okay. So who's the boomers? Any boomers? No boom? Yeah, a couple of boomers? Hey, come on. Boomers. Yeah, great. Any X's? Yay. And where's my Y's at? Do you even know what? Oh, you call them millennials now, don't you? But then there's the old millennials and then the young millennials. It's all a bit of, yeah, okay. So, who's a solopreneur? Have we got solopreneurs? And keep your hand up if you want to remain a solopreneur. And hands up who's already an agency. I'm just getting a sense of who's in the room, agency, and who wants to grow that agency even further. Yeah? Right, great. All right, so we're going to talk about why do people struggle in business. And my journey with this began in 1986. In 1986, I was doing my HSC and we lost our home, our cars, and quite soon after that, my parents' marriage, of course, broke up, right? Anyone remember the recession we had to have? Do you remember? Paul Keating said it was the recession we had to have. Well, it hit us a little bit earlier before the actual official recession started. And that's because the debt was so high. The interest rates were so high. And while I was doing my HSC, to lose your home, it's pretty traumatic, right? And that's because my dad was in business for himself, and in one deal, the domino effect of the one deal not being paid just wiped out the whole thing. And so I'm like, business is hard. And I want you to reflect on your own business journey. Has it been easy? Is it hard? Is it harder than you imagined? Because we were just talking this morning about how if people really knew what was actually going to, if you actually knew what it was actually going to take, you probably wouldn't start out in the first place. Can everyone at least a little bit relate to that? It's harder than we even imagined. So I thought, all right, if it's such a bloody struggle and it's so bloody hard, why do we even bother? And I wanted to go on this journey of trying to work it out. So one of the things that I've come up with over the last 25 years is that there's two types of people. There's the introverts. Who's an introvert? Where are my people at? Introverts? I was a born introvert and I had to learn how to be extrovert. Who's an extrovert? Right, so what I want at the end of all of this is to work out which parts of our business are we introverted and allowed to be introverted at, and which parts of our business do we need to be extroverted and need to build that skill. So it's about having both in your business so that you can get out there and people can get to know you, love you, like you, trust you, however they say that thing. So let's have a look at our 7 streams of income. And I've given you the cheat sheet for it because can you see up the top the pictures there? To become an author, this is one stream of income that people kind of grapple with. And the reason that you would be wanting to become an author is because it positions you as the expert. For some reason, books have still got the gravitas that they always have. And you know what? Podcasts don't have the same gravitas as a book. Number one bestseller is one thing, but an award-winning author is another. So there's sort of two levels that you can get to when you're an author. But it is a revenue stream. However, let me put it into context. You might want to write this down. Is that if you earn $5,000 from your book, you are the top 1% of authors. So, when I was doing my research over the last 25 years about books and how to use them to create serious money, I learnt that stat and I thought, well, why do we bother? It's because the positioning is more valuable than the actual income itself. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to think about what could you write that would position you in your field of excellence as the expert. And remember, we're not in that for the money, but we're in it for the positioning that it will give us. So who's written a book already? Great. What did you write it on? What was your field of excellence? And don't tell me it was some sort of fiction thing. It's non-fiction, right?
It was about consultancy, about the marketing strategies using AI.
Fabulous. Oh my God, so cutting edge. Now, can you see that there is already loads of people in your market, industry, but you have positioned yourself as the expert within that field of excellence?
I would not say that.
But the book is the first step. Makes sense? You probably haven't done a lot with the book yet. Makes sense? Yeah, but congratulations, because it's hardcore. And we can talk about how to leverage that. Makes sense? I don't want to get too bogged down today because we haven't got heaps of time, but congratulations. Who is dreaming or who has had a book in the back of their minds thinking, got to do that bloody book? Kate, right, well, we're in the new financial year. So this financial year, we're doing it. And you guys can all watch our journey together, getting that shit done. Okay. All right, great. So who else? Sorry, I didn't see anybody else's hand. I just went straight to Kate's face. What's your book going to be about? On the spot. He didn't know I was going to talk. No, sorry, you're nervous?
Cosmetics, skincare and haircare.
Beautiful. Okay, so again, there's lots of people in your industry doing the thing, but you are going to be positioned as the expert in that field of excellence because book equals expert. Right? So the other things that we think about when we write a book are things like book, e-book. You guys, because you're digital people, working in the digital sort of transformational area, you guys are probably thinking e-book. To me, book is an e-book. I would never just do an e-book and then a book. I would automatically, can you see? Self-publishing, you have both, it's automatic. Make sense? But it's based on your philosophy. Now the thing is, some of you will be sitting there going, I know my philosophy. You're preaching it all the time. You're on about it. You're angry about things. That's your philosophy. Does that make sense to everybody, that you've all got a philosophy, whether you're aware of it or not? What I do, my area of genius, is pulling that philosophy out of you. And in my program, I pull it out of you in a day, and we pull out your philosophy, we put it into the book outline, and the book writes itself. Whereas when you're staring at a blank piece of paper, that's why people take a lifetime to write a book, is because they're staring at a blank piece of paper. We don't do it like that. The book writes itself. In fact, to be honest, you could write a book in 24 hours. Not saying that we'd publish it in 24 hours, but you could write it in 24 hours if you really, really wanted to. Remember, you already know your shit. You do. You already know it. So if we put it down into chapters and sub-chapters and got it all sorted and pulled your philosophy out and made sure that it had wonderful twists and, you know, things that you're angry about, things that you hate about your industry, things that drive you crazy, that shouldn't be happening, they're the things you talk about. Yeah, and probably technique and whatever else for you. But anyway, think about your philosophy. Do you know what it is? Do you want to know what it is? And if you're curious about that, then you can have a free session with me and I'll sort it out for you. And I'll show you and point at it and we'll talk about it. But it's your thought leadership. Does anyone want to test me if they're not sure what their philosophy is, what their thought leadership is? Does anyone want to ask me a question before I move on to the next stream of income? No? Good. Okay, so you're all getting this. It's your book. The next stream of income is keynote speaking. Now, if we look at Kate's business, for example, there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people that build websites, right? How does she stand out in a room full of business people? Is she speaks. What will get her more speaking gigs is if she's got the book. The book is the door opener, the leg opener, if you would allow me to be vulgar. I love being vulgar, it's my favourite thing. So it's your leg opener, right? Gets you in the door, gets you in there. Awesome, right? So book first positions you, ready for you to speak about your philosophy. So you turn your book, because you've done the rigour of the book, into a keynote speech. All right? So speaking, there's two parts to that. There's the paid gigs and the non-paid gigs. Today is a non-paying gig, but what will come out of it is possibly $100,000 worth of business easily. Because for 1 minute, for these minutes, I am up here and I'm in your world and you are listening to me. Does that make sense? You are positioned as the expert in the room. I'm not 10,000 other business mentors. For one moment in time, I'm in your world. And you've chosen to come here to listen to various speakers today. So that's why speaking's really powerful, because you can get, in non-paid gigs, you can make more money than if you were paid your $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 per speaking gig.
Can I just say, this is what you're doing right now, right?
Correct. Yes. I practice what I preach. This is what I do for a living. It's called Becoming the Expert Program. It's a 12-month program, and we start off with writing the philosophy, the book. We then create a keynote speech and get you out there. Now, you can be an industry speaker, and a lot of you in this room are much more likely to be an industry speaker, because who wants to hear about your trauma story? No one. I loved yours. Thanks, Kate, for putting some heart into the day. But actually, yours was very much industry specific, and we as people learnt a lot about that. You made it a story, yes, and that's always good to make it a story. But I'm more into I meant to be pressing back. I like the industry speaking stuff, and this is probably more where you guys are going to sit as experts. Does that make sense? But you know the difference between a keynote speaker versus an industry speaker. And just to give you some idea, industry speakers might get $5,000 and a keynote speaker could get up to, say, $25,000. They might be an Olympian, you know? And it's all lovely to have a cry and think about your death and do all of that sort of stuff. But at a conference, it's the industry speakers that people are there to learn from. But they'll always open with a wonderful story to make you laugh and energised, inspired and motivated. And at the end of a conference, they'll always have the one where they, get you thinking about your life and whatever else. But in between is the meat in the sandwich. And so my job is to turn you into an industry speaker where you are educating. I want to turn you guys from salespeople into experts, and the product sells itself. You don't have to sell another day in your life if you're educating. You are educators, not salespeople. All right, third stream of income, training. Now we go from sales and marketing, which is your book and your speaking, that's your sales and marketing strategy, just get out there and do that. And now you want to sell them a high ticket premium product. Now training for you guys could be a strategy day. And for me, that's $4,500 a day to do a strategy day, sit down with the CEO or the person and work on that. So you're leaving money on the table. This is our concern, Kate and I. It's because you guys aren't charging for your strategy days, your training, your deep dives, whatever you want to call them. Is anyone making huge money out of your training, educating, deep dive type part of the business? Anybody got any? So this is money we're leaving on the table, would you say? Is that a safe bet? So this is where the big money is. The money's not in being an author. Did you see that? If you're earning $5,000, you're in the top 1%. Speaking could be free, so there might not be any money there, but you're selling in your signature program. That's what I like to call it, your signature program. Now, training versus facilitating. Training is where they're learning your philosophy. It's kind of like your beginner's guide, your intermediate program, whereas facilitating is for your high-end clients, year 2 clients. Can you see you don't need to do your basics anymore? You're now teaching them the higher learning stuff. So that's why there's 2 different revenue streams for training. Here's my program, you haven't done it before, here's the languaging, here's what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Now they know all that. You want to get into more facilitating. This is where you take them to the next level. This is your advanced program, your advanced signature program. Very, very different. These are super fans at this point if they're buying that. Make sense? So my clients come in, get put together in becoming the expert program, and then the second year they pay the same amount of money, but they've done all the book and the keynote and the website's built and the social media's set up, all the basics are done. Now it's refinement. You know, it's next level. They just want me on the books. They just want to have access to me. They just want to be having me on tap as a coach, as a mentor, as a trainer. All right, so the next one is, and just within facilitating, you might think of having a mastermind group. I personally don't want to build a community. I personally don't want to have a mastermind group. My business is all based on working one-on-one with people, very carefully in a one-on-one, done-for-you type model. Whereas other people love the idea of having mastermind groups. And quite frankly, if you get so busy you can't handle doing one-on-one with people anymore, that's what you do, is create a mastermind group where you're facilitating the advanced students in a group. You might even be thinking about a train the trainer program. This is where your philosophy is so good, so important, this is definitely for you, is the industry comes to you and wants to do you. Not in a sexual way, but wants to do your philosophy. And they want to install it in their business and they love it so much they want to buy part of the company. So a train the trainer program could be very much something that you could think about in the future after you've proven the model. Then you've got coaching. So everyone knows what coaching is. You probably all had it. You probably do it, but are you being paid to do it? And this is where you might earn $500 an hour, something like that, because remember, you're the expert in your field of excellence and people pay you for coaching. What I don't like is ad hoc, random coaching. I don't like that. And when my clients say, can I just book a call with you every now and again? No, you either buy the whole package or nothing, because I want to be across the progression. I don't want somebody coming up to me going, so Katrena, keynoting. Well, where's the ecosystem? We don't do keynoting in isolation, do we? Would I? People do that, don't they? They write a book in isolation. They keynote in isolation. They have training programs in isolation. They have coaching programs in isolation. Why? I don't like it. Because they haven't got the basics. They haven't got the step-by-step. They haven't built an ecosystem up. Only now could you be coaching after they've done the training. Make sense? Because you need them to have a baseline level of understanding. And the sixth one is mentoring. Now, again, coaching and mentoring, what's the bloody difference? Well, coaching is whenever you ask a question, you are coaching. Whenever you tell them from your point of view and from your bloody experience, you're mentoring. And I must admit, as you can tell, I'm an assertive alpha female. I do a lot of telling in my business because people don't want to go, so what book would you like to write, honey? They don't know. I tell them what book they could write. Make sense? Because I've got 25 years underpinning my experience. They're paying me for my experience. They're not paying me to brainstorm. They want to know. If they knew, they would have already written it. So I must admit I'm not a big fan of coaching because it's slow. So what do you think? And now what do you think? And then what do you think is the next step? What do you reckon? Oh my God, I'm so bored by now. Instead, I could have just told you, Now, in the advanced program, we can get more into, now you might have good questions and good answers to questions. Puffed myself out, I've got so excited, sorry. And the final one is consulting. Now, this is probably very familiar to you. You're probably already doing a bit of consulting within your business. You're probably calling it all sorts of things. But this is good money here. Very good money here. This is where they want the expert to come in and knock the bolt. They know what bolt, you know that story. They know what bolt to, do you know that story? You don't know, okay. So there was this story where a nuclear facility had gone down and they couldn't fix it. It was costing them $1 million a minute to keep this facility in turmoil. They kept trying to fix it internally and eventually they got a consultant in and he came in and just sort of looked around for a second, got a screwdriver and went and just tapped the screwdriver on this bolt thing and it all started to work and it was all fine. And they sent a $100,000 invoice. And they went, are you kidding me? $100,000 invoice? What the And he said, you're not paying me for the 5 minutes I was there. You're paying me for the 30 years experience of knowing what to do in that situation to get it sorted out. Make sense? And that's you guys. It's not about the $5 an hour or the $500 an hour or whatever you are in the stream of that spectrum. It's not that. They shouldn't be paying you for that. They're paying you for your expertise, your decades of learning about this stuff and doing this stuff and knowing how to do these things quite quickly. And with Wix, I've been with Wix since day dot. All my clients are built in Wix because what I always loved from the very beginning about Wix was that I could build it and then I watched Wix add more facilities to it and I was like, ooh, software that grows overnight while I'm not looking at it. So I've grown with it and added that all in for my clients. I call it the Rolls Royce because it's got everything in it. I say you don't need to go external anymore. Remember when we used to have other bolt-ons and I used to hate that? Ooh, another subscription, yuck. Now Wix has it all inside of itself. Love that. But the main reason I use Wix is, number one, I know it like the back of my bloody hand, and I can build websites really quickly and really just fit for purpose for our clients. But I train my clients to run it. Now, what's the biggest bugbear in business for people that we're selling to? Is they have no control over their own destiny. And I hate that. Hate that about WordPress, is the client has to ring up for a small thing, $75 an hour every single time. And so that's why I sell all my clients into Wix. There's no discussion, I just tell them what to do. But they trust me to know that I'm giving them a Rolls Royce. They don't need to know how to run the whole thing, but I'm able to do little video vignettes on how to keep it maintained nicely because I can't be bothered. Once you leave me, I want you to be independent of me and be able to run your business system. And essentially, I believe Wix, with all its extras, is a little system, a business system in a box. Brilliant. Can't ask for more than that. So I'm a huge fan. Don't get me started or nerding out on Wix because I do love it. But it's very important because I want my clients to be independent. That's the intention behind using that. All right, so has everyone got one or two ideas on how to uncover their full breadth of behaviour? Because there's no point in just being an introvert and doing only coaching or only book writing, being an author. You've got to be extroverted, being able to go out into the world and speak about it and train and consult. Can you see? You can't just be a one-trick pony. You need to have full breadth of behaviour. And part of my program is I get people really comfortable with becoming a multivert. And only multiverts, and we can have this argument, but you have to take me to a pub and you have to buy me a whole bottle of something to argue that I believe that's where success in business lies, in you being a multivert. No point in battling away, building websites and nobody knows you're the world's best kept secret. Congratulations, introverts. You've got to get out there and sell your expertise and let people know about it. And you do that through education. So when you get off stage like this, people want to buy your book and take home and read and go deeper with your philosophy. But quite frankly, they actually don't ever read the book. Because all they wanted to do with your book when you get off stage is they want to honour you with a $30 purchase. It's like buying a t-shirt at the rock concert. We don't wear the t-shirt. It's like buying a program at the opera. It goes into a box and we throw it away 30 years later. We never look at the program again. It's the same sort of thing. Every now and again you get the super fan that really loved you and really loved your message and they go home and eat the book alive. That's lovely. But what's important is the next step. You've got to have this next step. Otherwise, you go home and forget all about me. So this is where speakers go wrong. So there's got to be an easy next step. So make sure you've got a mini workbook, something that they can hold on to, and they fill that in and they can have a free discovery session with you. Or we don't call it that anymore. We call it the free strategy session, don't we? That's the new fashion. Have you noticed on social media? Free discovery session? No, that's over. It's got to be a free discovery strategy session. What we can argue about is the 15 minutes, the 30 minutes, and the 1 hour strategy sessions. So what does a 15-minute strategy session say to people? What does it scream? It's just a sales call. And I'm going to sell you my shit in 15 minutes. In fact, you won't have time to discuss your needs at all because TikTok, we've got 15 minutes. What does 30 minutes say? And I'm not shaming anyone publicly, but I know most of our industry, don't they do 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Yeah, well, 30 minutes says the same thing.
I'm a slower salesperson.
Yeah, I'm a bit slower, but I will let you talk for 15 minutes and I will listen to you, but I need to get quite quickly to selling in my thing. Pretend they care. What I do is suggest to my clients, all my clients do 1 hour. And if they need me to hear the lecture, I'll give them the lecture, but you all need to do an hour. This is where I actually give shitloads of value and they change their lives. They're transformed in their head, in their mindset. whether they buy from me or not. And what does that do? Because not everyone can afford us, right? Not everyone's going to buy from you, but what do you end up with? Fans, friends, strategic partners, people that are going to recommend you till the cows come home. I got one lady saying, oh my God, do a free discovery session with Katrena. It was like taking your bra off at the end of a day. And she wrote that on social media. I'm like, oh, nice. Because it is, it's meant to be a spiritual experience where you just show your genius, but applied to them, which is what they're interested in. They're not interested in my genius, they're interested in how I can apply my genius to them and their story and their need. Make sense? So if you are interested in a 1 hour session with me, feel free to fill that in, hand it in at some point during the day before we go, and we can have a long, deep conversation together that will be meaningful. And we will unpack your 7 streams and see where you're leaving money on the table and just get my 25 years experience looking at the lens of you and your experience and your business and your goals and where you want to go in the future. Can't believe I said that all in one breath. That was amazing. All right, so lovely, lovely to be here. Thank you, Kate, for having me. I really, really appreciate it. And can't wait to play and see what we can do together. Lots of love, everyone.
Thanks. That was amazing. And I don't know about you. You stay here.
Okay.
I don't know about everybody, but sometimes I don't feel so expert. Do you suffer from that? I do. Sometimes I feel a bit ordinary. But after hearing what Katrena is telling us, I think that doesn't matter so much. I think we can actually transcend that and get to a stage where we might even write our own book. We might even be able to get up and talk in front of people. And I'm an introvert. I'm like you, I'm an introvert. And maybe I wasn't so much in the 80s. But
No, that's because we had alcohol and cocaine. But it's different now.
Oh, well.
You have to have a mushroom or a jelly bean or something.
Okay.
I don't. She works with a client that does those.
But it is important to think, okay, how can I get a foothold? How can I step into this little section of authority? And I think we should all think about that with Katrena. Okay?
Thank you.